I'm here. Gabby's here too.
I'm here too.
Hi everyone.
Oh no!
Let's
turn this off.
No.
Look how tiny you are. Look at me, I'm like a giant.
No, don't stand it then. Don't stand it. Off the cuff.
Hey you guys, I'm so excited. I have someone really special on the channel today.
It's me. I'm here.
She's here. Rachel is here. If you guys don't know who Rachel is an industry makeup artist.
Let me do it. Hi, I'm Rachel Renna. I'm an industry professional makeup artist, and I've been doing this for a long time, and I've worked with a lot of cool people. I'm here to show you some things, and I'm not really that cocky. This is just me. It's all jokes. I'm just kidding. Come back, Gabby. I love her.
It's literally all jokes. Rachel is a makeup artist that I have worked with in the industry. Rachel and I have been both in the industry for over 15 years. We've worked with a lot of really cool people on a lot of really cool sets. And Rachel is the makeup artist that has taught me the most out of anyone that I've ever worked with before. So she's gonna be going through my makeup bag. She's gonna be talking about modern makeup techniques, things that are working, things that aren't working, and she's gonna teach you a lot about what it means to be modern and glowy and beautiful and anti-aging tips and tricks. I'm so excited to learn, and I know that you guys are gonna get a lot out of this video.
Let's go.
Let's go, let's get right into it.
Okay, Gabby already started with her skincare on, which is great. She started with a moisturizer that combats your oils. It's a lightweight gel. Usually before you start your makeup, you wanna make sure that all of the products you're putting on has a great base. Your makeup is only gonna look as good as your skin does. So if your skincare is a 2 and you want your makeup to be a 10, then it's time to put a little bit more emphasis in your skincare and make sure your routine is at par with the makeup products that you have. And I want to ask you, what order do you usually do your makeup when you start your face? Do you sit down and have a zen moment in front of like a vanity, or do you stand and do your makeup? Because your enjoyment of it might actually be correlated to the way and the method that you're doing your makeup application.
Oh, that's a great question. I never thought about that before, but you're absolutely right.
Do you do it in the bathroom, standing, like leaning into the mirror?
I usually do it in the bathroom standing in a crazy hurry because I have little kids and I never have time for myself.
Right. So you feel like sitting would probably slow down the process?
I guess I feel like this is gonna be like therapy. I'm gonna start crying soon. I feel like taking time for myself is, yeah, like it's wasting time.
Right.
Like I have too many things to do, and I don't want to take time away from the kids. So whenever the kids are not with me, I feel like I need to be working. So I only give myself like 10 minutes.
But how do you feel throughout the day when you have your makeup done versus like a day that you filmed makeup?
I feel completely different. I feel like when I have makeup on, I feel like even healthier. Like I feel like when I don't have any makeup on, I'm like tired or run down, and it's bizarre.
Right. On a day that you wake up fresh face and you don't give yourself the time to put yourself, at least to like polish yourself up, your productivity might be completely different. Your energy levels might be completely different.
It's actually so true.
So, and even on the days you're feeling like crap, looking better, you're gonna feel better. When I look at Gabby's pictures and her videos, the one thing I notice the most is how strong her eyebrows are. I feel that a little bit of lightening of your brows for this look will be something different and something for you to compare to in contrast to how you normally do your brows. For the most part, lightening the front and keeping the arch and the tail the darkest will be the most flattering on your eye shape.
Okay.
So we're gonna build up hairs, but we're gonna make sure that we're focusing the attention here, and we also wanna make sure it doesn't look too sharp, because walking through the streets, the thing that can date you and make you look like you're from a certain era is your eyebrow shape.
Yeah.
And we have to try to meet the trends, but in a flattering way. So I'm gonna start with actually lightening the hairs at the front of your brows.
Would you ever recommend microblading, like to an older, like my audience of women that are more mature that don't have brows? Because I'm very hesitant because
of your experience?
Not only my experience, it's not that my artist wasn't good, I just think that a lot can go wrong, and I've seen so many times where it looks awful, you know?
I think that microblading, shading, and different forms of ombre brows and powder brows, they've come to a place where they've gotten a little bit, the technique has gotten better. The people who got their eyebrows done when it was still a new form of cosmetic procedure probably have more negative experiences than the newcomers, because they've already kind of worked their way around finding the right inks that don't fade strangely. And they might have had more experience with brows in general that and the feedback that they got from those clients. So you definitely want to make sure that your artist that you're going to is the type of brow that you want to have. I'm going to use this pencil on your eyes anyway, so we might as well use it for your brows just as like a versatile alternative to a brow pencil, because I'm going to just reduce your arch ever so slightly. I'm going to also slightly lift your hairs because this is a one-on-one lesson that is a little bit more specific to your concern with your eyebrows. Not everyone would need to lighten your hairs, but sometimes you don't realize when you have dark brown eyebrows with a little bit of a softer scale hair color that lifting your eyebrows, almost like tinting it lighter, can make a huge difference with making them look less like aggressive on your face.
My number one hate comment is hate towards my eyebrows.
Is it really?
Yeah, I talked about that in a video actually. I always get like super mean comments about my eyebrows. And I'm like, they're just like that. I don't know what to do.
Well, it's in part because they've been microbladed, so you are fighting something that is permanently on your face. All I did was like lighten the hair subtly from up close. I can see that it's like a tone lighter, almost as if it's been caramelized a bit versus your natural color. And I'm using a complexion tone to kind of offset this little harsh part. There's a little bit of a point at the front of your brows that I'm going to just soften with an eyeshadow. Usually we want to leave room for the brow to get darker at the end of your makeup based on how much drama your eyes ended up being, so that they're not competing so much. So I'm going to use a tinted moisturizer. This is the shade medium that you have in your collection. First and foremost, when you're looking through your makeup, you want to make sure that as soon as you put it on your skin, it looks good. Makeup should look good on the skin right away, and the wear time of it is going to be usually deduced based on how it looks when it's applied. So if right off the bat it's accentuating pores or dry patches, it's going to be hard for you to come back from that. Usually it means that you need to prep your skin a little bit better, you need to exfoliate, or just the finish of that particular product isn't going to do you any favors. It's probably going to look a little bit more worn over time. So whatever it's illuminating at the beginning might only get exacerbated. So I want this to blend in and mesh in with your skin seamlessly, almost like we're just creating a second layer of skin with a little bit of glow. If it's mattifying too much right now, we're going to be inhibited by using powders, and we do need to use some powders even on mature faces, because it's going to be what sets your makeup and what keeps it in place over the full day. If you need more coverage, you have a foundation that you can always mix in. Using this foundation with the same brush is a good technique to mix in the luminosity of your tinted moisturizer but get the coverage of the foundation just where you might need it. And for most people, that's around the cheek area because they have some broken blood vessels. Do you use a beauty blender or a makeup sponge for any reason?
Okay, I love my beauty blender. It's the only way to get a really airbrushed look in my opinion.
Yeah, and it can also do a really good job of absorbing the excess in the lines that you don't want to gather makeup, because usually less is more in the mobile areas of your face. So if you have a challenge with having deep nasolabial folds, or under eyes is where you're gonna have the most issues. I'd say aging under eyes is the #1 concern with learning to do makeup or just reviewing makeup. Everyone's like, I just can't find a concealer that works for me. The first step is seeing if there's blue tones, purple tones, green tones, something to minutely color correct, but not in a way where you're having to then cover up orange, because then you're gonna have another thick layer of concealer to offset the color corrector. Just gonna reinstate just a slight bit of peach. This is what we use. This is by Malloy Beauty. It's a very thin formula. And then also this concealer is more of pink undertone. So I'm gonna apply it much in the same way, where I'm gonna focus it on the inner corner where we need that brightness. We are going to use some for a lift on the outer portion of the eye, and also just focus it around the orbital bone so that we're bringing light to the areas that are receding back, and we're making them just look like less sunken in without making them look flat. Because when you do concealer from the lash line all the way to the lower bits of your eye, you usually end up looking a little bit like artificial. And I can see why you do that for every day though, because your under eye circles are strong. I'm gonna pull it a little bit into the middle of the face too, because oftentimes we can get a little bit of darkness on the upper lip. I'm gonna pat this in just to give it some air so it self-sets a little bit. The best thing for you to do is to look up at the light so your under eye is as smooth as possible for when it is drying down, but I'm not gonna set it yet. I usually like to conceal first and then brighten after, but we should do some light contouring first just to make sure that we're getting the dimension back in your face, and then the brightening concealer will really help kind of erase any of the harsh lines. In terms of your cheekbone contour, you do have a really good defined contour line, but we're just gonna emphasize it a little bit by going from the top of the ear down towards the side of the mouth and making sure from the front of camera lens that it's not pulling too far into the center of your face. For most people, when they want to create a cheekbone lift, we can go all the way to the eyeline. But I feel like if we went all the way to the eyeline with your contour here, it would be eating up your face and you would look a lot more narrow.
Because my face is so skinny.
Yeah.
Very narrow.
Do you like the length of your nose?
I always shorten it.
And we can create a nice little kind of like button effect as well. Down the sides, we usually have to do contouring specific to every face shape. So watching videos about contouring is hard to replicate because it's not specific to their features. If there's more of a bump to the nose, this placement would be a little bit different, but usually where you're gonna be trying to find is the thinnest part of your nose. So pinching down the bridge, you can find where the cartilage and the bone is the narrowest. So here is where her bridge ends, and here's where her bridge begins, but that bone cuts off here, and then I feel the cartilage widen at the tip. So where I'm gonna backtrack to is her thinnest part of her nose. And I'm gonna try to, because I could see the light and how it reflects, just do the thicker parts of her nose. So at the bridge, I'm not gonna do her tiny center. I'm gonna do just at the tip of where her cartilage starts widening again. And then I'll blend these to meet one another. But I didn't need to contour where it was the most petite, because that's just gonna accentuate this pinch that exists naturally, and we're trying to use makeup to camouflage flaws, not to accentuate them. So I'm gonna just blend the contour towards the center because I'd rather this get thinner than wider. And why I did contouring first versus second is because the concealer is going to act as like the finishing touch on this shaping. Because whatever we've created darkness to, we also need to create lightness to. That is gonna be the magic of the nose contour, is making sure it doesn't just look like a muddy tip. And we also need to erase the bridge if we really want to snatch it, because that contour alone is still going to show your natural shadow. Where you have a bridge bone, usually our noses grow later in life. They continue to grow. The cartilage continues to grow, your ears and your nose. Eventually you feel like, even if you were confident about your nose, you feel like you have a schnoz at one point in life. So learning to contour your nose even just minutely will help you feel like you still love your nose. But thinking about the contouring first, you've now created a deeper shadow because the bridge was already wide. Not wide for you, but that's where light would have shown that your nose ends in photos. And we've created a shadow a little bit more in the interior. So now we have to offset this darkness with brightness. And that's why brightening concealer will really help finalize this shaping. For the cheekbone, I'm mostly stamping and blending upwards. Everything's gonna be an upward line. We're gonna make sure that everything stays looking lifted, and we don't want to blend this down into the jawline. And then we'll connect it slightly to your forehead line just so that there's kind of like a natural 3 of shading here. It's a science, it's mathematics. Contouring is like an interesting form of art, and you're using your face. I'd love to think that everyone can master their own face, because you have it every day to practice on. So what we're gonna do now is a little bit of brightening, and this is where we're gonna go into that like second degree of coverage. So we're gonna take a step back and say, okay, like now, do I still need more brightening under my eyes? And how can I use the concealer to better this like light contour effect that I made? This is where we can go a little bit more matte. I wouldn't do it under the entirety of the eye, but in the place where I wanna create the most like projection to your skin, this is where we can go a little bit brighter and a little bit more full coverage. So I'm gonna use this one just to kind of sandwich that nose contour a bit. Blush will be the second best friend of brightening up a dark under eye, because the more life you can create to the skin to offset and camouflage that depth and like texture, the more young your skin and your face is gonna look, and in contrast, your under eyes won't look as dark. You usually go into like the peach category, but I'm gonna add just a little bit of extra punch further back, I think. So it's a little bit of an ombre cheek, and this is going to create like a blush contour, but I love the idea of keeping like the most pastel to the center cheek, where you keep the blush under the eye on the lighter domain, and you keep the depth of the blush to the back of the cheekbone, especially because your cheekbones are so high, you have so much room for color here. But it is gonna make your under eyes look really nice and bright in contrast to the cheek area. And I actually did pull the terracotta blush into your eyes so that it can create kind of like the transitionary shade. When you use your products in a multifaceted way, you can kind of skip ahead and give yourself more time to focus on the things that need more attention, like your eyelashes, for instance. Because if you do a look that's easy, where you do one color in a few different spots and it looks like a complete look, you don't have to pull open like your eyeshadow palette. For instance, if you run out of time and your kids are yelling for you, your eyes are in a position where they still look really good.
I just want to tell you that Rachel sells the brand Senegence. Senegence is an amazing line of makeup. If you are Canadian, I'm going to leave a link to her Senegence shop down below because we're using a lot of the products from that brand.
And it's an anti-aging skincare, like botanically based cosmetic line.
It's incredible. So I'm gonna leave a link to her shop and all the products we use. If you're Canadian, definitely buy it from her. And then I'll leave a link to an American shop as well.
Do you like a wing?
Yes.
I know.
Do I like a wing?
But do you feel like you have an issue with your wing at your crease kind of getting a little distorted?
Only on this side.
Is that the side you sleep on?
This is the heavy side.
Okay, so that's the side that kind of smiles a little bit stronger.
Yeah.
Usually we can see this by freehanding it. Looking forward and finding the best place to kind of lift the outer eye is just in this extra real estate where you have a lot of brow bone space under your arch. If you want to create an extra lift to your eye, you can use the Shadow Moon or a tool like this, or even just some Kleenex. But I'm just going to apply it with your eyes open and just staring forward. And then I'm going to add a little bit to the shadow of the lid, but like something as basic as just a soft brown in your upper crease area, you have to consider putting color a little bit higher than you're comfortable with to create more of an open eye space. So it's a good idea to try to map that out at least just by stamping the color with your eyes open first, and not having to go too heavy-handed in this orbital bone, but it is gonna be acting as a little bit of a guide for your blending brush, because you can really press in behind the space of the eye to find out where your crease should be or once was before your skin started to kind of like fall a little bit. So instead of black, we're gonna go with in a softer brown. I'm sure you've heard this advice before, the brown's more flattering, but also because we lifted your eyebrows a few shades, the black might end up just looking harsher on your skin than you need. So the first step is actually going to be with your eyes a little bit open. I'm going to just blend it into the base of your lashes, because this little negative space often gets avoided, and you're not going to get transfer on your bottom lash line by tight lining between the lashes. It's also going to make them look a lot more full without the struggle of getting a crisp, perfectly defined liner. And even just the application method of little stamping strokes will help versus one fluid motion of liner across an eyelid that might have a little bit of a softer skin, because it will pull and drag and then create a lot of jagged edges, and then you're going back and trying to fix it by adding more liner, and it can usually just be a mess. So I'd suggest starting as thin as physically possible, especially when you get to the inner part of the eye. If you feel that you need some drama into the inner corner, the best application method is usually from underneath the lash line and lifting through the lashes versus trying to go over, because you're gonna get the tightest, cleanest, like idiot-proof application by going under versus over. Then we'll use a fine brush, maybe with an angle, to help just soften the edges of that liner. When you're worried about your liner not being completely symmetrical, especially when your eyes are not completely symmetrical, the best thing that you can do is softly smoke it out. So when you are in doubt, just blend it out, because a graphic line is going to illuminate any user error much more strongly than a shadow or like a drop shadow finish would. So you could always use a shadow on the edge of your brush to further like blend out a liner. And I just recommend taking that one extra step after applying a little bit of drama to the lash line to create a shadow finish versus like a strong harsh line. So you did a couple pumps of like a lash curler, and I feel like that, if anything, to learn how to do on your eyes, find a lash curler that fits your eye space easily so that it's not as daunting to use a lash curler. It makes so much difference on the open effect of your eyes. You were saying you even use it when you're not wearing makeup.
I use it when I'm not wearing makeup every day. You look way prettier when your eyes are lifted, even if without makeup at all.
At the end of your makeup, usually the thing you have to step back and do is, do I have enough color and warmth on my face? Looking at the area here, usually you get a lot of sun here. You sometimes get a little bit of sun spots or some freckling going on. If you look too pale on the face and you're looking washed out, It's nothing a little bronzer and blush can't fix at this point. This is a powder you said is fairly new to you. It is matte, but I think this could double as a little bit of a warming bronzer, maybe just in the perimeter of the face if you needed it. Great for camera, I find, but I wouldn't apply it with the sponge. This is like pretty full coverage. It's a powder foundation.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
But I'm gonna use it just to kind of add a little bit of extra coverage on your cheeks and chin, just to make sure that it's kind of cohesive with your neckline because you are so warm down here. I always finish with another layer of blush, but this is where maybe a powdered blush could be useful because you have your cream base, and the general rule with creams is that it'll last longer if it's set with a powder. So going into something similar in shade, you don't need to go like blush shopping if you don't have tons of blushes. I'm sure you have like a soft, like you might even have a soft pinky eyeshadow. Don't be so stuck in a box of finding things that like are meant for blush, but I found this that's never been used before. And I'm telling you, with the same brush, the same bronzer brush, I'm gonna just pick up the powder product and ever so lightly intensify the color on your cheeks just to give a little bit more punch of color. Blush is the first thing to fade over the course of the day. So doing a little bit of like due diligence to double up the intensity of your blush can be the difference between looking fresh all day or looking washed out or like dulling your complexion. You have a couple lip liner options in your collection.
Way more in my purse. I should have brought them.
Okay, none of these are brown. There's like,
because they're in my purse.
Yeah, your brownie ones. Yeah. But you said you've never tried the Charlotte Tilbury Iconic Nude. No. I'm curious if it's going to be a shade that works for you. It's definitely a go-to color. I use this on a lot of clients because I find it's a good contouring shade for the lips. More often than not, we just want to make sure that when we're overlining, we're playing up like the Cupid's bow area versus the outer corner of the lips. Even when it comes to like the bottom shading, we tend to overline just in the center and then meet the natural lip line in the outer corner. So we don't want to be overlining across the entirety of the lip because it can naturally create like a little bit more of a frown, especially if at rest your lips turn down. So if your lips turn down more than Gabby's do in this general area, you might even want to cheat the outer corner and line it further in than the natural lip line ends, because we can keep this area a little bit brighter with the foundation or concealer to kind of erase like a downturn outer mouth. So at this stage, you could go in lip liner and lip gloss if you're feeling like that's all you want to do. If I was gonna correct your top lip line any further, I would go one step down in the lip liner department. Like I'd go more brownie just at the Cupid's bow. This is with like more of like a spice shade. And I'll do the same just at the middle of the lower lip. So I'm not gonna lip line all the way around. This is for like the ultimate Bratz doll lip, I feel.
I was literally just gonna say that. It looks so good, like Bratz doll.
So one of the things that can age your lips the most is just looking dehydrated in the lip area. So we're gonna put on a little bit of this City Lip. It's a plumping gloss. I'm gonna keep it within the center of the lips just to give a little bit of extra glow and hydration without it going too far over the lip line, because we just created it with a liner, and gloss can usually be the giveaway of whether, like, not that you needed a lip job or anything, but that was just like a fun way of doing a nude lip.
I love it.
I just love a nude on you. But you could see when you do a nude lip that like the punch of color on the cheeks is so necessary. Like blush is important when you're going a little bit more soft focus on the eyes and the lips. I forgot, when I was doing the outside of your lips, the best way to shorten the tip is lightening like the base, because we did the contour.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, because now what happens is like you have to see how it blends into your upper lip. Your upper lip was concealed. Mm-hmm. So if you also blend like the lower tip to your bright upper lip, it's going to intensify like your contour, stopping your nose here, because we did like the contour right there, right?
Oh, I always thought you had to shade this darker.
But think about it, when you look at it next to how we were just looking at it, the contour was at the tip of your nose, but underneath was still creating a bit of a shadow. So I love for like a lower nose to brighten the base of the nose and just have the contour being the darkest bit.
What a difference.
That was like a little like mini nose lift.
I feel so pretty. I love this.
The best part of this look is we literally use 2 colors on your eyeshadow. We did a lot of things that were like multifaceted all over your face, and we chatted a lot throughout it, but you could literally put a look like this together for yourself in 15 minutes. Like if you really just boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
This is something you can master easily, and you'd feel like you gave yourself the time that you deserve to like take on the day.
And I feel like this look, you guys, is something that you could wear if you're 60, if you're 50, if you're 40. It's not too much. It just brings out beautiful features very softly. There's none of that like stress from like winged liner precision, or like, it's just diffuse shadows, really strategically placed.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing. It's like a less is more, but where you're putting it is in really strategic places. I love it. I think it's so nice.
I think you look like just like a model.
I look way younger too.
Yeah, you do look really young.
The brows look way better.
That's crazy. I'm so happy to have tried it because I felt like I envisioned it when I was watching a few, like every time I watch it on video, I'm just like, I wonder what it would look like if we softened her brows in like a light mannered way. And it was very simple, but it made such a big difference.
It made a huge difference. And I don't feel like you overloaded it on product. It was such a minimal amount of product. I don't even know what you did. I have to watch it back now.
Yeah. Okay, I think this finale is just so impressive because I feel like we just ended up doing a make under on Gabby.
Okay, we were talking when we turned the camera off. We were trying to like collect ourselves. And the craziest thing is I feel like I look so much more youthful and so beautiful, but it's totally a make under.
Yeah,
right?
That was not intended. I felt like we were just going through the motions of what a younger makeup might look like. And in a lot of ways, it was just softening the things. And as a whole, it just feels like a make under.
Yeah.
So maybe less is more.
I feel like now I really need to do less. I'd love to hear what you guys think in the comments. Please leave a comment. Let me know if you love this more understated look, if you learned something new. Rachel's gonna be hanging out in the comments and answering questions as well, so make sure to ask questions if you have questions.
I wanna know what you think.
Yeah, thanks Rachel for coming.
Can we do some close-ups on this?
We are gonna do so many close-ups on this.
So, you're so cute!